Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. This is a JK show without the K. It's going to be a whole lot of J today. This week in SBF, we've had a lot of changes. Just a quick reminder before I jump into the video, I want to remind everybody that the SBF is fine-tuning a system this year. Most of you guys knew when you joined that this is a beginning league. We are fresh. We have a couple seasons in the books, but each season we're fine-tuning different things. And this season, we're working on user-created players. So once this season is finished, we should have everything fine-tuned, and we should have a great system going forward and shouldn't have to change much. Just a quick reminder. Just wanted to let you guys know we're not going to be switching everything around every season. Bear with us. On today's episode, I want to feature teams and specific stats regarding your team. So stick around until you see your team. You can go ahead and check out your stats, check out your arch nemesis stats, figure out what they're doing good, what they're doing bad. I'm going to start out with the Guardians. So Guardians led by Dion Hill. He is absolutely a monster. 27 and 9 with 3 assists. Wow. The team does have Brandon Shipley who's stepping up. Shipley's been on a lot of teams, and this is the best I've ever seen him. I've never seen a score-first Brandon Shipley. So I love what the Guardians are doing with him. And then after that, you got Myers and nobody else. Covington, Graves, Dawkins. Yeah, I mean, this team is very assisty. If you look at the stats, 6, 6, 8. Almost 6 again. They have a lot of players averaging a lot of assists, so that's really good if you're Dion Hill. Next up, we got the Stallions, and I was looking over the Stallions stats, and the one that I want to bring to focus for everybody is Rockwell. What are you doing this season? You're a 7'4" center. You're supposed to be the most dominant center in the league, and you're averaging 7 boards a game? Half an assist, only 1 block? 8 points? Rockwell is taking a step back so far this season, and if you're the Stallions, you have got to be nervous about that. Why is 6'10" Cam Miles almost out-rebounding him? Rockwell has definitely got something going on. You see, Jawan Quinn is stepping up this season, though, 25 and 6. Stallions, as you can see, their best scorers in 20 points per game. They are struggling on offense this season. Next up, Ballers. Ballers were one of the first teams to dethrone the Bobcats. Ballers picked up a big win over them this week. They've got a couple of key players here. Boulder, you had Rockwell struggling on the last screen. Boulder here, 10, 10, 1, 1, and 1.3. And the thing I love the most is the 66% shooting. Boulder is playing absolutely great basketball at the center position, and I love to see it. Deion Richmond struggling from three-point land. Hard. So is Daniel Fields. That's not good for your starting point guard. That's what he's listed as right now. Fields has been struggling all season. 48% shooting. Not as bad as Josh Waters, though. 34% shooting. I don't have a lot bad to say about the Ballers, even though I don't like the team or anything about the team. The Ballers are the worst team in the league, but I don't have anything bad to say about their players. I really like Dallas Hawkins with their 14 and 7. Hawkins is putting up some numbers. Richmond is an assist machine. It's really weird. They run their offense through their small forward as a playmaker, so the point guard on the court is just another shooter defender. So it's working for him, though. Next up, Talons. 3-point basketball. If you like to see threes go flying, Talons are your team. Look at this. Their top 3 scorers are almost all averaging 10 threes a game. 9.9, 9.6, 8.7. I mean, they're shooting pretty good, too. Over 40%. Shane's 30, but Shane just got to the team. It'll take him some time. He just came over in a trade. Junior almost 60% from three-point land. Okay, well, here's Sean Randolph. He is shooting 60% from three-point land. Only averages 1.6 a game, though. I mean, all the way down the line, usually you see at least somebody that averages less than 1 3 a game. Nope, not the Talons. Even their center right here, Chris Richardson's averaging 1.4. Talons are really struggling. They got very fortunate and had a whole week versus AI teams. So their record picked up a little bit, but my goodness, they do not look like they improved. But what do you expect when you don't draft any new players? This team's almost exactly the same as it was last season when they struggled. So we'll see if they can figure it out. Next up, Assassins. Assassins are a whole lot of Levi McNeil. McNeil is finally scoring like crazy. The Assassins had one of the best teams in the league, slowly started trading away everybody, and now they're just featuring Levi McNeil. Biggest thing to watch for with the Assassins is their salary cap. The new salary cap that got instituted, they're going to have to let some players go. They just traded Travis House. Rookies are free, so they can afford a rookie, but then what are they going to do after that? As you see, Jacoby Taylor's three-point percentage struggles. It's nice to see Jacoby aggressively shooting threes, almost 3 a game, because that's something he's never done before. But you got to pick it up a little bit. Jacoby playing the center position for the Assassins this year because they don't have a center. They lost Zach Boulder. Other than those two, it's a whole lot of role players to assist. Bass, the power forward, getting 8.4 assists per game. He's distributing the ball better than Dion Richmond is. Bass has been very impressive as a power forward in the league. Next up, we got the Stingrays, double MVP candidates in Bryce Dyson and Jamarius Randall. Year in and year out, both these guys are competing for the award. As you see, Bryce is leading in points per game by just a little bit, but Jamarius has those rebounds and assists. It's crazy to think the 6'1" point guard is almost doubling in rebounds over the 6'8" small forward. But Jamarius does it year in and year out. Other than those two, there's a huge drop-off for players. Tyler Maxey here, you love to see that 6.4 rebounds and 7.6 assists. Man, he's a good role player. He has been announced as a cash-in already, so the Tyler Maxey you see, the Tyler Maxey you know and love, will be cashed in this season for a compensatory first-round pick. One-time deal. We're only doing that one time because this league has too many high overall players, and we want to try to pave the way for all of you user players in the NCAA to come into the league and be more successful. It's going to be hard to be successful if you're riding the bench because there's so many high 99 overalls in our league. Alright, well, this team's going to be fun to talk about. Next up, you got the Rattlesnakes. I think they finally figured it out. They finally found a scheme that works for them, and my goodness, this guard duo of Travis and Russ Hopkins, it just has me terrified. These guys are insane. 30 points per game for Russ and 29 for Travis. This is what they were looking like at week 1, and I said no way they can sustain that. They just had a good week. Well, we're at week 3. That is 6 weeks of games in-game calendar season. 6 weeks. And these guys are still putting up these numbers. It's crazy. It's fun to watch. Nick Ridnour with almost the 9 assists per game. Ridnour has been an absolute beautiful scheme fit, passing the ball around. Harvey Rodman is just dominating the boards at the power forward position. I'd almost like to see Nick and Harvey switch spots. Harvey play the center, Nick play the power forward. But that's up for the Rattlesnakes GM to decide. As you see, some guy, not even really on the team, Max Swift is there, but that's just because the Rattlesnakes lead so many games that they have their reserves come in, so he's even got some points per game. Wagner recently traded over. You see his very low points per game, but you love to see that rebound and assist per game. That's what he was brought over to do. I love this trade by the Rattlesnakes. Just add another assist monster. Come in, grab some boards, and dime it to Russ and Travis. I love how much this GM is building around Russ and Travis. Absolutely love it. And I love the duo that is Travis and Russ. Next up, Yetis. Yetis are done losing. One of the worst teams in the SBF right now. They made a trade finally, and they went out and grabbed a defensive monster in Travis House. House hasn't been doing anything like spectacular for the Assassins, just a good defending, sharpshooting guard. As you see, his three-point percentage is better than his field goal percentage. He will play his role, but he will play the role really well. He's going to come in and start over Raymond Ellis and add better offense and way better defense immediately. What I like to see is the fact that Ricky Parker is scoring so well for the Yetis. Ricky Parker averaging 17 points per game at 5'6". That's just I love watching Ricky Parker dunk on the other team's center. It's fun to watch. Joe Weber playing like an animal. 24, 4, 4, 1. Joe Weber's playing good basketball. I remember when we were all about to give up on Joe Weber in this league, but not yet, he says. It's the last couple seasons he's been reborn. This team's got a lot of good pieces. Carson Crawford, the Kevin Durant of small forwards, 7-foot sharpshooter scoring machine. Rudolph Conley, Kelly King with those 8 assists per game. They got some good pieces. They just got to figure out how to get it to work. Next up, the Tornadoes, led by KJ Collins. This team is one of the best offensive teams in the league. Irvin Bishop is absolutely coming into his own. He is a big surprise. Low cap hit, but he's scoring well. 45% for an 84 overall. Steve Kabirov, my goodness, the very, very strong point guard, has absolutely surprised me with how good he is at facilitating. We've been looking for a point guard to come into the league and assist this well, and finally we have somebody with Steve. Steve is just 12 assists per game. Is fun. Absolutely fun for everybody on the Tornadoes. Wang Fang, 10 boards per game with those 1.3 blocks. He's just doing his job. The Tornadoes, the crazy part about the Tornadoes, I'm going to look it up real quick. The Tornadoes currently, with the cap room, sit at 100 mil out of 150. You know what that means? These guys can still afford one Supermax, and then they can afford the next tier down. They can afford a max and a Supermax. So imagine giving these guys 2 more superstar players. This is going to be a dangerous team when they finally build. I mean, any team's dangerous if you have the best player in the league on your team, KJ Collins. Next up, you got the Polar Bears. Trying to trade everybody away, successfully, might I add, for first-round picks, and just to turn around and win more games. The Polar Bears are going to struggle with losing as long as they have Michael Self on their team. Self shooting 50%, averaging 24, 8 and 1. He's an absolute monster. As you see, those 5 threes per game, only making about 1.5 though. RJ Outlaw, brand new addition. He just came over from the free agency league. These stats are going to be a little skewed. But as you see, our Outlaw was doing a good job scoring in free agency. Dylan Webb, the number 2 for this team now. 11, 3, and 5. Other than that, it's a whole lot of role players. These Polar Bears are coming into next season with a whole lot of draft picks. And let me look it up real quick. Their cap situation currently sits at 95. A lot of money to throw around. They're going to have a lot of free rookies. They're going to be able to go out and sign a lot of players. And then they're going to have a well-balanced team. Next up, the Lynx. This team is open right now. We're looking for a GM. I'm going to go ahead and give you their players anyway. If these players, if this GM spot does not get taken, These players will enter the free agency league, so it might be important to watch them. As you got Damian Bryant, Walter White, Kelvin Ryder. Damian Bryant, Walter White, Nate Dickerson's a big name to look out for. Don Maker, Vince Ryan. They've got a lot of good pieces that if they hit free agency, you're going to see an absolute fight for them. Dickerson really not playing well this year. 7-7-1. That is not like him, especially when you're the number 2 on this team. Damian Bryant, however, is thriving as a star. Finally. Damian has always been a role player, about 6 to 10 points per game. Here he is finally as the star player. It is getting 20. I love it. Next up, the Pirates. Pirates had a couple of surprise wins early, but overall they are struggling on the season as Julius Carter is scoring, he's diming, he's rebounding, he's doing it all. JCJ looks really good for the Pirates, but they just need a better supporting cast. While JCJ is thriving, Jason Towns is falling apart. Towns looked great at the end of last season for the Lynx, but he just hasn't looked like himself. Leslie McGetty's playing decent basketball for the Pirates. Rod Roberts is doing his job with 10 boards and almost 2 blocks. Fred Oakley with 8, 5, and 6. Oakley is doing a really good job at the power forward position. They're just missing one superstar scorer, and that was supposed to be Jason Towns, but so far this season it hasn't been. Jason's shooting 44 and 33. Oof. He's got to pick that up if this team's going to win. Chupacabras, what can I say? You guys are doing everything right, making all the right trades, but you still can't figure it out. They went out and grabbed Cassius Falls. They went out and they grabbed Champ Hansen. They went out and grabbed Jimmy Blake. They are doing all the right things. It's just not translating to wins on the court. Turner's having one of his best seasons in terms of scoring, but that's it. Scoring like nothing else. 4 assists, but I mean, as a starting guard with high minutes, you should get at least 4 assists. Hopefully, Champ hasn't played a game yet for the Chupacabras. Hopefully, his scoring will increase on the season, and he can be a dynamic scorer for the Chups. Vin Woods has been playing really well. I just like to see him rebound a little bit better and shoot better. The reason I say he's playing well, and then I criticize his shooting, is because I was not expecting him to shoot this often. 12 times per game, as you see over on the right side of the screen. And he's shooting 41%. So I like to see that Vin Woods is being aggressive and shooting. He's just got to go to that next step now and worry about that percentage. 3 points, 37%. I'd like to see him get it above 40. Cleveland, he's doing Cleveland things. 14 points per game and 9 rebounds. He's doing a good job. He was a good pick, but he's not the superstar that I think the Choops thought they were getting. Cleveland is just a great player, not necessarily a superstar. And this is where you see him start to struggle. Francois Prigioni. 43% shooting, only 5 assists as a starting point guard. 26% at 3. Prigioni is an absolute struggle bus, and I think he'll be the reason they end up falling short in the playoffs this season. Next up, Stars, newly acquired, have a brand new GM. Thank you, Moon, for taking over the Stars. They already made a trade. They went out and they grabbed a center. They went out and grabbed Robin Crawford. Great move. His numbers don't look good, but that's because he was getting about 5-6 minutes per game. So now that he's going to be in a starting role, we're going to see him absolutely skyrocket. That's my prediction. These Stars are surrounded with talent in terms of defense, rebounding, and playmaking. And then they have one dynamic superstar scorer in Javon Randolph. I'm going to call it now. If the Stars are going to be successful, Javon Randolph's going to be in MVP talks. That's my promise. Now, if he's not an MVP, I look at him. He's shooting 42% and still averaging 22 points per game. If he ups that to the league average of 50, He's going to be increasing his points per game by about 3 or 4 minimum, and you're looking at 26. And I mean, it could go even higher if he starts to get hot and increases his percentage to high 50s. This team has Robert Crawford now. He's a two-way, three-level playmaker. They still have, in my opinion, the best defender in all of basketball, Dan Ryan. This guy could go to any league, any sport, and just be a prolific defender. Fantastic. Dan is even playing some, getting some good box outs and has 5 boards per game this year and 5 assists. Not known for that, kind of playing out of his role, but sometimes you have to do that for the sake of your team. Stars right now not even in playoff contention, so they have a lot of work to do if they're going to try to get there. Vixens up next. As we see, these guys have been up and down all season. They have one of the deepest benches in the league, led by Braxton Gaffney, an absolute scoring machine. Eddie Lyons in those simulated games is scoring even better than Braxton. Eddie is off the bench at 17 points per game. This team is really, really deep. I think if they correct their starting lineup just a little bit, they could be an absolute dangerous team. When I say correct that starting lineup, I just don't like the way the starting lineup looks when they're playing together. They all want to attack the rim, and they all get in each other's way. They need to replace one of their current players on the starting lineup with a shooter. Like maybe let Eddie Lyons jump in as a starter. Or go out and make a big trade. Up to them. They're also struggling on the boards a bit. Derek Walker at 9.7 and Mel at 7. That's it. Nobody else is really rebounding for this team. Playmaking, they have Baldwin, and that's it. Nobody else is playmaking on this team either. So, really good team, but when they're bad, they are really bad. Next up, we're going to go to the current best team in the league. Yes, I'm going to say it, even though I'm sorry, Rattlesnakes. I know you're technically above them in the standings, and myself, the Assassins, I'm technically above them in the standings. I'm still calling the Bobcats my best team in the league. Kyrie Allen, current MVP favorite, 25, 5, and 7 this year with almost 2 steals per game, shooting 52% and 44 from 3. Kyrie has just been crazy good. Murray is coming into his own. He's averaging 21 points per game off of 43% shooting. You get those numbers up, he's going to be even better, and so are the Bobcats. Derek Simon also. I mean, until I'm looking at these stats now, I didn't realize this, but the Bobcats are one of the worst field goal percentage teams that I've seen so far, and they're still winning games. Could you imagine what's going to happen if they can increase this percentage? Yeah, they're really struggling. This team is a nitty-gritty, hard to play against, very tough defensive team, and then they add a paint beast in Yuri Kasparov. These guys are trying to win now. They're not worried about next season. They're worried about winning the championship this year. And I think that they have the best chances to do it. I love watching Bryce Lane play basketball. 6'9", hauling in 7 boards per game. I absolutely think Bryce Lane is benefiting from playing alongside Ed Payne at practice. Ed Payne at 7'3" is just pushing him around, and it's making Bryce Lane toughen up, and you're seeing it translate into games. I absolutely love Bryce Lane. Next up, we're going to bring you the Guardians. So that's it. That is it for the JK show. I'm going to end by showing you guys your power rankings. This is where NBA.com has us all ranked right now. A-Town, Red Rock, Classic City, Rip City. Rip City and Red Rock, they need more games. We need to see more of those guys. Motown, they're 10-0 right now after losing the first 2 games of the season. They are by far the hottest team in the league right now, so watch out for Motown. The Lynx GM list now at number 8. So remember, the top 16 make the playoffs, so right now the Mammoths will be in, and the Stars are out. So hopefully that'll change come playoff time and we could all be in, but Stars have got some work to do. Chupacabras, you're sitting on the edge. The Yetis are sitting on the edge. Even the Stallions are further up. Stallions aren't even good at losing. Murray Williamson just destroyed the Stallion franchise a couple years ago. I don't know if they'll ever recover. Polar Bears blew up the team, and they're still the 10th best team in the league. So good luck with that Polar Bears draft pick. Alright guys, thanks for checking this video out. Hit the like button. Make sure to invite your friends. Let me know what I can do better. See you later.